In July 2015, a terrifying incident occurred between 15-year-old Kamila Ahmad of Robin Hood Lane, Mitcham, and her then boyfriend over a remote control. In a rage, Kamila viciously attacked the teenager, stabbing him 3 times before moving the seriously injured victim into the street in a calculated attempt to deceive authorities. Fortunately, the teen survived the brutal assault. Nearly 6 years later, on the 3rd of March 2021, the Metropolitan Police received a 999 call for a mortally wounded 19-year-old male in Croydon. As detectives spoke to neighbors, they all agreed only one person could have done it: the victim's girlfriend by the name of Kamila Ahmad. The town of Croydon in South London is known for its thriving shopping district and vibrant nightlife. As one of London's largest boroughs, it's conveniently located just 15 minutes away from central London by train. Croydon is the birthplace of many notable individuals, including the fashion icon Kate Moss and award-winning rapper, singer, and songwriter Stormzy. But despite its many positive attributes, Croydon has a darker side.
Starts from, selling a bit of weed, selling a bit of Class A's, it goes on and on.
When did you start carrying knives?
12.
Can't just see what you had. That's not a knife, that's...
Not me.
Why do you carry that weapon?
Because I live in fear of my life, and as long as I've got this with me, I feel safe.
But that looks a bit more than self-defense to me.
It's scare tactics. The bigger the better.
Based on 2021 statistics, Croydon was dubbed the teenage murder capital of London. 30 teens were murdered in London in 2021, the highest total since the Second World War. According to a Sky News article, of the 32 London boroughs, Croydon led with 5 murders. Labour MP Sarah Jones said, "We've seen knife crime go up across the whole country, and we've now got this trend of young, horrific murders. I think it's a wake-up call." The tragic reality of Croydon's reputation as the teenage murder capital of London leads us to the heartbreaking tale of Tai O'Donnell.
Okay, so we have 3 more acts for you this evening, and the first of those is Croydon College solo artist, and I would like to welcome to the stage Host. Look, bow, gag, look,
She said she got me, but she really don't. I get the money divided with bro. How can I put so much fire on?
19-year-old Tai O'Donnell was a college student and aspiring music producer. He attended Croydon College, where he studied Level 3 music technology. His mother described Tai as a beautiful young man with infectious energy, a talented musician who always had a smile on his face. He was the life of the party, a beacon of positivity, and someone who his friends often turned to for encouragement. Even his neighbors noticed his politeness and kind demeanor. Tai had big dreams, and he wasn't afraid to chase them. He often told his family, "Trust me, big things are coming for me. You're going to see me out there. I'm going to be up there with Stormzy. I'm coming, I'm doing it." With his infectious smile, musical skill, and unwavering determination, it seemed like only a matter of time before Tai had a breakthrough. But little did Tai know, his dreams would come to a bitter end. In the summer of 2020, mutual friends introduced Tai to 22-year-old Kamila Ahmad. At the time, Tai was attending college while living in a ground-floor flat in Croydon, while Kamila was working at a local supermarket and was on probation. Although the pair seemed to make an instant connection, Tai's mother picked up on possible red flags early on in their relationship. In a half-joking manner, Tai would tell his mother how Kamila had a tendency to fly off the handle. She would also control his interactions with friends. Despite his mother's concerns about Kamila's aggressive behavior, Tai continued to see her. One time after a verbal altercation, Tai called his mother to tell her Kamila had been pounding on his front door for hours, demanding to be allowed inside the flat. Tai's mother could sense he was afraid. When family members arrived to check on him, Kamila was already inside, and Tai insisted that everything was fine. On January 15, 2021, there was a heated altercation in which Tai was arrested on suspicion of assaulting Kamila. However, things were not as they seemed. Kamila had allegedly told Tai's friend that she was the one who should have been arrested. "I'm more violent than Tai," she reportedly claimed. Court records reveal that when officers arrived at the scene, Kamila changed her story. She told police that she had been in a fight with another girl, and Tai was just trying to break it up. Kamila explained, "He didn't touch me, though he'd never touch me. I'm a lot stronger than him. I wear the trousers in the relationship. I wear the pants." After his arrest, Kai seemed to realize he was in a toxic relationship and it was only getting worse. Kamila's behavior was increasingly erratic, and Kai understood something had to be done, yet something was holding him back from cutting her off completely. In February 2021, there were multiple instances where Kai attempted to lock Kamila out of his flat. Each time, however, she had forced her way back in, including smashing a window to enter his apartment. That window was subsequently boarded up. Meanwhile, multiple neighbors reported hearing frequent screaming and shouting from Tai's flat. Tai's mother, Stacy, noticed the negative impact Kamila was having on her son. The Tai she knew was popular and spirited, but lately he had acted scared and withdrawn. When Stacy saw bite marks on Tai's neck and questioned him, he admitted Kamila had attacked him. She urged him to call the police if it happened again and to leave Kamila. Tai said he tried to break things off, but Kamila threatened to harm or kill herself and had also threatened to stab him. But eventually, Tai admitted to his mother that perhaps he hadn't cut ties with Kamila because he was hesitant to be seen as a male victim of physical abuse by a woman. He was too embarrassed. Stacy had heard enough. So on Wednesday, March 2nd, she decided to pick up some groceries for her son and then hand deliver them to his apartment. It would be her first face-to-face meeting with Kamila. The first thing Stacy noticed were visible bruises on Kamila's forehead. When questioned, Tai explained that she had hit her head against a wall. Kamila then showed bruises on her arm to Stacy, implying her mother caused them. At some point in their conversation, Stacy urged Tai and Kamila to end their relationship, telling them they were in an unhealthy situation. As she left, Stacy turned to Tai and said, "It's killing me to see you living like this." It would be the last few words she ever spoke to her son. Not long after Stacy left Tai's Croydon apartment, Tai and Kamila had yet another public altercation. Tai had locked Kamila out again, but she successfully broke through the boarded window and the fighting continued indoors. As Tai turned his back, Kamila seized the opportunity to grab a kitchen knife. Without hesitation, she plunged the knife into Tai repeatedly. The last cut pierced a blood vessel, causing severe hemorrhaging. Kamila made no attempts to help Tai as he lay on the sofa bleeding. Finally, at 3:27 a.m., Kamila reached for her phone, but it was not to call 999. Instead, she sent a Snapchat message to a friend saying, "Fam, I stabbed someone and no one is helping me clear him up." A neighbor eventually called 999 and emergency medical services arrived at 12 minutes past noon. Upon entering, they observed pools of blood at the door and throughout the property. Tai was found lying on a sofa with multiple severe lacerations, and paramedics pronounced him dead 5 minutes later. Due to the obvious signs of foul play, the Metropolitan Police Service was contacted. Officers observed that somebody had made efforts to clean the scene, while blood-stained bedding, clothing, and running shoes sat next to the washing machine. Neighbors all pointed to Kamila as the perpetrator, leading the officers to focus their investigation on her. Given her history, the officers were not surprised that Kamila had become a suspect. Kamila Ahmad's upbringing was far from ideal. As a child, she witnessed her mother being subjected to domestic violence at the hands of her father, which had a lasting impact on her psyche. Eventually, she was diagnosed with conduct disorder characterized by disregard for others, physical violence, coercive behavior, and an inability to feel empathy or remorse. By the age of 21, Kamila had accumulated an extensive criminal record with 11 convictions for a total of 17 offenses. These convictions included assault, battery, possession of a bladed article, and robbery. As a result of her criminal activity, Kamila spent a total of 4 years in juvenile detention. During the investigation, officers discovered that Kamila had fled to a friend's house, where she disguised herself as the friend's little sister in order to avoid the police. 2 days later, she was identified and brought in for questioning. Despite claiming to have no knowledge of Tai's death, officers found incriminating evidence, including a blood-stained rucksack and jacket linked to Kamila. After DNA testing, the items were found to match Tai's DNA. Kamila was arrested and held in custody without bail until trial. The evidence gathered by investigators left little doubt about Kamila's involvement in Tai's murder. The trial of Kamila Ahmad was held at Croydon Crown Court on Wednesday, the 19th of April. During the proceedings, Kamila argued that she stabbed Tai in self-defense. However, it was revealed that Kamila's stabbing of Tai was not an isolated incident. 6 years prior, she had stabbed her previous boyfriend 3 times during an argument over a TV remote control. The former boyfriend chose not to press charges against her for that incident, but after hearing of Tai's murder, he felt it necessary to get involved. Judge Peter Gower explained to jurors how the former boyfriend recalled seeing a fountain of blood streaming from his left forearm. He also sustained wounds to his armpit and back and suffered defensive wounds on his hands. After stabbing him, Kamila moved the victim to the street to mislead police into believing he had been attacked by an unknown party, and implored the former boyfriend to go along with the story. The similarities between the two cases helped the jury deny Kamila's self-defense claims. Judge Gower added, "I do not accept that you can properly be described as the victim in the relationship. The evidence pointed in the other direction, of you being the controlling and coercive one. He posed no physical threat to you. What you did was not in self-defense, it was done in anger." In closing, jurors were told that if emergency services had been contacted at the time Tai was stabbed, he likely would have survived his injuries. Jurors also heard from Tai's mother, Stacy, who called for the harshest sentence possible for Kamila. Stacy said that her life was destroyed when her son was killed and that she now suffers from severe depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Kamila was sentenced to 23 years to life in prison for the murder and also found guilty of causing grievous bodily harm to another man in 2015. That sentence was for 7 years to be served concurrently. Afterward, Kamila told the court, "Nothing I say is intended, as it never was throughout the whole of the trial, to cause distress to those who are grieving." She added that she is sorry that the criminal trial was adversarial, then claimed that no one is perfect and no person is wholly evil. As Kamila was escorted out of the courtroom, several of Tai's friends and family members shouted, "Rotten hell." After waiting nearly 2 years to see her son's killer brought to justice, Stacey O'Donnell spoke with a reporter from Sky News.
A grieving mother at her son's grave. Stacey O'Donnell's son Tai was stabbed to death by his abusive girlfriend. But court delays, a COVID backlog, and a cancelled first trial last September due to the barristers' strike meant they ended up waiting nearly 2 years for a trial.
I'd spent months worrying about what might happen, overthinking different scenarios about how the trial might play out. And then it came to September and, I hadn't been sleeping all year. I've been waking up, I kid you not, 4, 5 o'clock every day, waking up, anxiety, really going through it. It's not until the trial was passed that I can actually feel how much weight has been lifted.
For Stacey, the guilty verdict is late but welcome, and it means she can finally prioritise the biggest fight of all, coming to terms with the loss of her beloved son.
Tai O'Donnell's tragic story underscores the damaging impact of toxic relationships and the obstacles victims encounter when trying to leave their abusers. Additionally, it brings to light the issue of knife crime, particularly in Croydon, which was known as the teenage murder capital of London. Nevertheless, police data indicates that the situation has improved in Croydon, with no teens losing their lives to knife crime in 2022 and a 12% reduction in stabbings overall. A youth worker from the area credits this progress to the improved relationship between the police and community members. It is possible that a comparable level of attention and support would produce positive outcomes for domestic violence victims, particularly male victims who confront unique challenges and stigmatization. Hopefully, Tai's case will act as a catalyst for change and empower all domestic violence victims to seek assistance and break free from the cycle of abuse.